Good morning, students. Now we have poetry class. As you know, that in poetry class, we will have 14 meetings. And this is the first meeting. The title of this first meeting is Reading a Poem. Reading a poem. Yeah? What is in your mind when we have this title? Now we come to the explanation. How do you read a poem? I'm sure that some of you or everyone will have different ways of reading a poem. So this is the first question in this classroom. The literal-minded might say, just let your eye light on it. So, let your eye light on it. Just read with our physical eyes. But there is more to poetry than meets the eye. So, it is not enough. What Shakespeare called the mind's eye also plays a part. Do you know Shakespeare? Yes, he is a very famous playwright, and also he is a good poet. He says that the mind's eye also plays a part. Mind's eye, different from our eyes. Our eyes, our physical eyes, read the poem, but our mind's eye here, our brain, will think, will try to understand what is the meaning of the words in the poem. Many a reader who has no trouble understanding and enjoying prose finds poetry difficult. Yeah? This is the difference between prose and poetry. Prose use easy words, while poetry use difficult words. This is to be expected. So pay attention to this statement. This is to be expected. As you know that most of us want everything easy. But here, expected. Difficulties is expected. Why? At first glance, a poem usually will make some sense and give some pleasure, but it may not yield everything at once. So when we read a poem for the first time, we can maybe be happy. Yeah? We can be happy. We can get pleasure, but we get nothing. We don't understand the meaning. Sometimes it only hints in meaning still to come if we will keep after it. So after we read it once, twice, yeah, 3 times, 4 times, then we can understand it better. Poetry is not to be galloped over like the daily news. A poem differs from most prose in that it is to be read slowly, carefully, and attentively. So this is again the difference between prose and poetry. You can read prose only once. You can read prose quickly. But poetry, you have to be slowly, carefully, and attentively. Why? Because poems are difficult. It uses difficult words. Not all poems are difficult, of course, and some can be understood and enjoyed on first encounter. Yeah? Although, usually, words in poetry are difficult, but not always. Some poems are very easy to read. Yeah? But good poems, after 10, 20, or 100 readings, still go on yielding. Yeah? So good poetry usually will give you understanding more and more when you read not only once, but twice, 3 times, 4 times. It will give you more understandings, yeah? More comprehension. Approaching a thing written in lines and surrounded with white space, we need not expect it to be a poem just because it is verse. So here, pay attention how to distinguish poetry and prose. Here we have the term verse. The definition of verse is any composition in lines of more or less regular rhythm, usually ending in rhymes, is verse. So the form of verse, we call it in Bahasa Indonesia saja. Ya. Do you know saja? Yes, the form is very specific. It is different from prose. Ya. In verse, usually consists of some lines, and in the end of the lines, we find rhymes. Here, for instance, is a specimen of verse that few will call poetry. Now, pay attention to the following form. Yeah? 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, expecting February alone, to which we 28 assign, till it year makes it 29. Now, pay attention to the words. The words are very easy. And although it is easy, but in the end of each line, we have similar pronunciation. We have similar voice. September, November, one alone, assign, 9. But do you think that it is poetry? No, it is not poetry. Yeah? It is not poetry. It is just names of months in a year. How to set about reading a poem? Here are a few suggestions. So reading a poem, we have ways. There are 3 ways of reading a poem. Number 1, to begin with, read the poem once straight through with no particular expectations. Read open-mindedly. So when you read a poem, just read with your physical eyes. You don't need to think anything. This is the first step. Let yourself experience whatever you find without worrying just yet about the large general and important ideas the poem contains, if indeed it contains any. So don't worry with the words. Just like when you sing a song, you don't need to understand it first, just sing the song. It is similar with when you read a poem. Just read it without understanding the meaning. Don't dwell on troublesome word or difficult passage, just push on. Yeah? If you find difficult words, don't care. Yeah? Just go on. Some of the difficulties may seem smaller when you read the poem for a second time. At least they will have become parts of a whole for you. So when you read for the second time, usually the difficulties become smaller. I mean, you can feel easier when you read for second time or 3 times. Yeah? Number 2, on the second readings, read for the exact sense of all the words. If there are words you don't understand, look them up in a dictionary. Dwell on any difficult parts as long as you need to. So the first step after reading, for the first time, usually you read not only once. The first step, you can do it 5 times. You read without understanding the meanings. On the second step, you have to know the exact meanings of the words. If you don't understand the exact meaning, just open your dictionary. And number 3, if you read the poem silently, sound its words in your mind. This is a technique that will get you nowhere in a speed reading course, but it may help the poem to do its work on you. So, you read the poem silently. Sound its words in your mind. So the first step, read it loudly, with your voice. But for the third step, you can read it silently, but you have to use your brain. You have to use your mind. You have to think. Better still, read the poem aloud or hear someone else read it. So although you can read it silently, but it is still better than if you read loudly. Or you can ask someone else to read it for you. You may discover meaning you didn't perceive in it before. Even if you are no actor, to decide how to speak a poem can be an excellent method of getting to understand it. So, according to this statement, reading loudly is better than reading silently. And the more you read it, the more you will understand the meanings, all the meanings of the poem. Okay, I think it's enough for today, and I hope that you can understand this first meeting. Hopefully that you can enjoy this meeting until the end of this semester. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.